At Arizona State University, we're bringing world-class education from our globally acclaimed faculty to you. Ranked #1 in innovation for 10 consecutive years and #2 among public universities for employability. ASU isn't just ahead of the curve, it's creating new paths to success. Earn your degree from the nation's most innovative university. Online, that's a degree better. Explore more than 300 undergraduate, graduate, and certificate programs at asuonline.asu.edu.
You are about to listen to the Dr. Daliah Show. Sassy, stimulating medical talk radio. Any medical advice Dr. Daliah Wax gives on her show should not be substituted for an actual visit to your medical provider. And now, here's Dr. Daliah.
All right, we are back on the Dr. Daliah Show, 1-877-Dr. 1-877-DOC-DALI. Well, happy Friday the 13th, happy Father's Day weekend, happy my birthday weekend. But we have to begin by talking about the Israel strike on Iran's nuclear capabilities. This was huge in a very targeted strike. Israel, in the midst of Iran, funding Hamas and the nuclear deals in which Iran was found to not be holding up their end of the original bargain through Obama and Biden in terms of inspections and not enriching uranium. Israel took matters into their own hands after, from what I understand, a multi-year plan to diminish Iran's nuclear capability and nuclear threats by multiple fold, killing commanders, scientists, the factories, and targeting the nuclear weapons such that Iran, who has threatened to annihilate Israel, could no longer use nuclear capability as a threat. Now, from what we understand, this is still an ongoing operation. I think it's called Operation Rising Lion. And the world is, on edge. Airspace has been closed. I think Ben Gurion Airport in Tel Aviv has been temporarily closed. I know Jordan, as well as other Middle Eastern countries, have been trying to close their airspace as they do not want there to be some back and forth or the start of another war within the Middle East. But, Jews have been warned, Jews of the diaspora basically meaning those who are not at the homeland, but are all over the world living, have been warned that there may be targeted attacks, even more attacks than Jews have already been incurring over the past centuries, let alone more so in the last few years. And so, many of you understand how the Iranian deal that Trump was trying to work through. In fact, Iran was so mad that Trump pulled out of the Iran deal that, there were arrests made and investigations as to Iran's alleged assassination attempt of Trump. So, to think that Iran and America would come up with a deal where, you're not going to build a nuclear weapon. You're going to let our inspectors oversee you. There's going to be nothing covert. You're not going to go after our president. There has been evidence after evidence that they're not trustworthy. And so Israel, who is the biggest enemy of Iran and the first target, once Iran does have nuclear capability or more nuclear capability than they already have, they decided that it was in their best interest, let alone the Middle East's best interest, to prevent Iran from having the nuclear capabilities to begin with. And so you'll see many, experts talk about how this could be a preservation of peace. I know it doesn't look it, especially since there's going to be drone attacks and back and forth and, people already being told to shelter in place. But if Iran does not have the ability to nuke Israel or to nuke other neighboring countries, and if they also decrease their ability to continue to fund Hamas, we might see peace. Maybe not long-term peace, but peace in the short term. Of course, the U.S. wants to still keep talks open in terms of Iran not making nuclear missiles and abiding by it's a complex deal, which I think is obviously now on hold, not moot, but on hold. But what I want to say about all of this is Israel is usually about defense. That's why they have the Israeli Defense Force, and sometimes the best defense is preventing the attack that could annihilate you. And nuclear capabilities in the Middle East is frightening. And it is a fact that countries that hate Israel, hate America, are threatening time and time again on what they would do. And so the fact that there is this very robust nuclear program that Iran has, and there's been no secret about how much they've hated Trump. And the DOJ investigating the Iran's assassination attempt of Trump, allegedly. There's been no secret about how much they hate Israel. There's been no secret about how much they're funding Hamas, a terror group. At that point, somebody has to decide, is a piece of paper enough to keep peace in the Middle East? Saying you promised to not make a nuclear bomb or use it. You promised. For those of you who saw Game of Thrones, right? Thrones, you know a piece of paper doesn't mean jack diddly squat. Piece of paper gets ripped up. Right? If you're dealing with people that want to, annihilate a country or go after their enemies with nuclear power, a piece of paper is not going to be the most productive shield. And so Israel, in a targeted attack, moved very successfully to stop the threat. I hope there's peace in the Middle East. You do see Israelis and Iranians and Jordanians and Egyptians and Iraqis. You do see them live in peace. You do see them friends. You do see them work together. But unfortunately, you have extremes, and these extremes, such as what we saw with Hamas on October 7th, or extremes like you see that son of a piece of work that gunned down 2 Jews coming out of a museum in Washington. You have individuals that don't want peace, that want to, they won't stop until Israel or Jews don't exist anymore. And having that constant threat, there's not a lot of other options you have than to prevent the attack from happening. I mean, look at us in medicine. Why do we do so much preventative screening? Because the best defense with cancer is preventing cancer from taking hold to begin with. So it is going to be rocky over the next few days, weeks, but we'll keep you posted on any current developments. 1-877-DOC-DALIAH. Don't go away.
Have you ever thought you'd like to buy and sell houses but didn't know how or where to get the money? My name is Ron LeGrand, and over the past 40 years, I've bought over 3,000 houses without using my money or credit and taught thousands to do the same. Today, even in a virtual environment, we buy nice houses in nice neighborhoods using no banks, realtors, contractors, or other costly entanglements, and build huge cash flow and wealth without the hassle of tenants, all without credit and little or no money. You don't need a license or experience, and I'll show you exactly how it's done. Text FREE to 99799, and I'll send you my free training. I promise you I'll change the way you think about real estate and open the door to a new lifestyle that doesn't involve risk or rehabs and can quickly replace your current income. Text FREE to 99799, and let me show you how to take your life back and build cash flow and wealth from your home. That's FREE to 99799. Again, FREE to 99799.
Hi, it's Mark Falter, host of the Financial Fitness Show. I strongly believe that no one should ever pay 1 penny more in taxes than they are legally obligated. Unfortunately, for most hardworking Americans, this just isn't the case. Why? Because most people spend more time planning next weekend's getaway than trying to ensure they're going to pay less in taxes. My financial fitness team has put together some materials that I know are going to help you. It's the Tax Savings Kit. Tax Savings Kit includes 3 things: free tax analysis, top 10 ways to pay less in taxes, and an investor's guide to taxes. Now, how do you get it? Simple. 866-764-2635. Again, 866-764-2635. I'm Mark Falter. This is Financial Fitness, making personal finance profitable.
All right, we are back on the Dr. Daliah Show. Thank you all for tuning in. 1-877-Dr. Daliah, 1-877-DOCDALI. Big thanks to Talk Media Network for making the show happen. Big thanks to Daniel, our producer, and big thanks to y'all for tuning in. We really do appreciate it. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter or X at Dr. Daliah, Facebook, The Dr. Daliah Show, and on YouTube, click like and subscribe. So it's Father's Day weekend, and I am betting that the majority of you are going to screw it up every year. Right? I tell you guys, to not make the same mistake, and people are making the same mistake every single Father's Day. So you can keep it to yourselves. You don't have to admit it. But how many of you are planning a barbecue this weekend? And who is supposed to clean out the backyard before this said Father's Day barbecue? Well, Dad, my husband's going to, okay, all right. Who's going to clean the grill? Well, that's kind of Dad's job. Dad's going to clean the grill. Yeah, and who's going to be standing outside in the heat cooking the food? Well, Dad. Who's supposed to be watching the kids? Well, Dad. Who's supposed to be cleaning off the lawn furniture from all the spiders and bees and what? Dad's going to handle that. Yeah. And then when it's all over, who has to clean up the backyard? Dad. Really? You might want to rethink the Father's Day barbecue. Oh, no. Father's Day is so much fun because my father comes, the family comes over, and we all spend Father's Day all together. Has anybody asked Dad if he really wants to spend Father's Day with the in-laws? Sometimes they do. Sometimes they may like the in-laws. But right now, what many of you are planning is a 107-degree, who knows how much humidity, depending on where you live, barbecue in-law fest that doesn't really sound like what a dad would want on his Father's Day. Why do we have Father's Day? Actually, there is a little history to it. It falls on the third Sunday of every June. Sonora Smart Dodd, back in 1910, wanted to honor her veteran father, like mothers are on Mother's Day. So back in 1910, it was her idea to honor our daddies. Father's Day became an official holiday in 1972 by President Richard Nixon. And so, when you look at, what people do, look at the gifts for Father's Day. I'm looking at all these Father's Day gifts, right? Okay. Power tools. You think Dad wants to do any more chores or carpentry? Yeah, it's going to please him having a nice power tool. But what did I tell you if you bought Mom a vacuum or a blender? Probably not the type of gift they really want. A lot of you will buy your dad a tie. Now, I'm not a man, but I don't like things around my neck. Very rarely I'll wear a choker, but wearing a tie, not very comfortable. The average dude doesn't really want to wear a tie, and now you're giving Dad now I understand. Dads are like, oh, that's great. I needed a new tie. Thank you. They're going to be cool about it because dads are cool. That's what they do. But is that really what they want? Cologne, big mistake. Right? Men don't necessarily want to parfum themselves up. Sometimes they do. If they think it'll help them, get a date. But the average man doesn't necessarily want to use a parfum de Cologne or whatever the hell the French translation is. Okay, they want to smell like men. If a man smells, now I'm not a dude, but I have a lot of dude friends. Right? I've dated a lot of dudes. They like smelling of sweat because sweat meant they worked out. They worked hard. Sweat is a sign of it's evidence of their efforts. Are you guys married? Okay, I notice my husband will do that. If I'm not paying attention and he just worked outside or something and I don't realize it, he will not wipe off the sweat or take a shower until I notice it. Because I'm like, you're sweaty. He's like, I've been outside working. I'm like, really? Oh, wow. Well, thank you for that. You see, it's your evidence. It's your alibi. The last thing a man wants is an antiperspirant, right? Or something to cover that up. He wants to show that he did the work. Another thing, too, is if he's sweaty and he looks exhausted from doing something outside, you're going to be less reluctant to give him something else to do. So I noticed my father used to do that all the time. My mom's like, can you handle the kids? Can you do this? Can you do this? He goes, I'm all sweaty. I'm all sweaty. She's like, oh, I didn't know you were working. My father would always tell my mom, I'm all sweaty. Yeah. Maybe he did have an endocrinologic disorder. Who knows? There are certain things that make you sweaty. But he used that as a way to tell my mom to back the hell off. And it worked. In fact, she wouldn't go near him when he was all sweaty and stinky. So that's something to kind of think about. So look, lawnmowers, again, it's another chore. Funny underwear. I see a lot of funny underwear. In fact, there's a meme I put up where a man's tidy whities was just completely shredded to bits and said, don't worry, dads, Father's Day is coming. Yes, if you buy your dad or buy, the father of the family some underwear, they are going to appreciate it. But do you think that's the gift they really, really want? No. So what does dad want? Okay, well, first ask him. Okay, ask dad, what would you like? Now, dad's going to be afraid to say. Most likely he's going to want to say, I want to poop in peace. I want somebody to not bother me so I can finally go potty or take a whatever. I want to sleep in. I want to not have chores. See, the thing is if dad reveals what he really wants, he could get himself in the doghouse. Looking at my dad, looking at my husband, looking at my friends, my guess is the majority of them want to say, quit bugging my ass. I want some peace. Let me sleep in. Let me have the bathroom to myself. Let me get up for 5 minutes without you telling me that something has to be done. And don't make me work all day to have people over that don't like me. And I got to spend all day with them. Let me have an in-law free or a your friends free day. If they say that, they're in the doghouse. So all they say is, oh, that's fine. It's all good. I just want to be with my family. So if you really want to please dad and understand dad, preemptively do what you think he needs. You know what, daddy? You get a day off. We're always asking you to fix something or take the car in or mow the lawn or pull the weeds or fix something. We got it today. All right? You do so much for us. We are giving you a day off to do whatever it is you want. Mine is no strip, clubs or. But you want time to yourself. You want a day off. You want to relax. Now, I don't know if hockey's on. You want to watch baseball, whatever you want to do, it's yours. It's your day. And honestly, we should be doing this throughout the year. That is going to probably be the best gift ever. I think, acknowledging what they do, acknowledging that they aren't just, remember, dads, it's interesting. Dads struggle from the beginning because, you find a partner, you're all excited, they're all googly-eyed over you, and then the babies come. And once those babies come, the babies become the priority. Not only because they demand attention and time, but a mom is closer to the baby than they are their spouse. And so many dads feel neglected. They feel like it's all about the baby. Baby first, baby first. And dads, I've had friends tell me, I feel neglected. I'm not jealous of the kid. It's just I am now a second-class citizen. If not, I'm last. I'm just there to help. And where was that? Oh, I'm so glad you're home. Oh, I miss you. I love you. You're the love of my life. And so we really abuse our dads and the fathers by not by neglecting them and not appreciating them and showing that they are so integral to our lives. And so that's something that I think we should do. If you really do want to get them something, my husband wants to see the Excalibur again. He loves going to that Tournament of Kings. So I'll take him there. A gift card, Bass Pro Shops, Home Depot, whatever they want. I don't know if they like clothing, whatever, but gift cards could go a long way. Take them to their favorite restaurant. Now that if they want to do a trip. It's funny because I'll say I'll do the driving. My husband doesn't like when I drive. When you sit on the passenger side, you feel all the turns and the slam on the brakes. See, I prefer to drive than be the passenger, so we kind of fight over that. But just rethink how you're doing Father's Day, and give them a big hug and kiss. 1-877 Doc Daliah. Don't go away.
Looking for a gift that can actually help secure someone's future? It's Mark Falter's new book, Common Sense Income Strategies. It makes the perfect gift for that special someone in your life. Mark has helped thousands of hardworking Americans secure their financial future by using time-tested strategies that continue to create wealth, whether the market is up or down. Strategies that will make perfect sense once you take the time to read this powerful book. Common Sense Income Strategies brings to you what Mark has been teaching in person and talking about on the radio for decades. You've worked too long and too hard not to see the fruits of your labor. To learn how to receive your free copy, call 866-764-2635. That's 866-764-2635. Secure your future with Common Sense Income Strategies by Mark Falter. Again, to learn how to receive your free copy, call 866-764-2635. That's 866-764-2635.
All right, we are back on the Dr. Daliah Show. Thank you all for tuning in. 1-877 Dr. Daliah, 1-877-DOC-DALI. So I get a lot of questions about toenails. And what fascinates me in medicine, as something that you would think is insignificant in your body, it's all about the heart, it's all about the brain, it's all about our sex organs. And so as a medical student, and then as an intern, and then as a resident, and then as a family physician, family medicine physician, which is my specialty, family medicine, we learn that every single nook and cranny of your body is vital, is advantageous. Now, I understand that if you are going into hypothermia, you're getting really cold, blood will shunt from your heart to your brain to keep you alive. I understand that, usually when you go into septic shock, it's all about trying to protect the most vital. But it doesn't mean parts of your body are not important. We talk about the skin. The skin is the largest organ of the body, and it is crucial to maintain the integrity of your skin. Because if you don't have skin, or you suffer a severe burn, or you lose skin, you lose moisture. Skin keeps the moisture in. Otherwise, you dry out like a prune or like a raisin. You also then can get bacteria and pathogens in. So skin is an essential barrier. And this barrier also can provide signs and signals that something is going on in your body. I talked to you guys about acanthosis nigricans, where you will get darkening. Some people will get darkening spots on their body which is a sign that you might have internal malignancy. There was a patient who was in the ICU that had big dark circles on both his knees. And I was a resident at the time. And I'm like, what's that gentleman in for? Because he wasn't our patient. He was on another service. And they said asthma. He's in the ICU because of asthma. And I said, but look at his knees. He's got big dark circles on his knees. He might have cancer. Well, it comes to find out a day or two later on CAT scan, they found lymphoma. Now, I'm not saying everybody that has dark knees may have cancer, but your skin can sometimes tell you that there's something wrong with you. There's a Christmas tree pattern, lesser trellis they call it, where it looks like somebody took your mole and finger painted it and smeared it along your back. And if you have a family member, when they take off their shirt, where it looks like they have these smears, almost like somebody was trying to finger paint a Christmas tree on their back, that could be a sign of GI malignancy, colon cancer, gastric cancer. So the skin can tell us a lot. The earlobe. Told you guys about that little earlobe crease. The diagonal earlobe crease can be a sign of heart disease. Maybe it's because of circulation to the lower earlobe. Maybe it's just God's way of warning people. But a diagonal earlobe crease could signify somebody has coronary artery disease or arteriosclerosis or is at risk for heart disease and stroke. It doesn't mean everybody is, but it's a sign. So when I examine a patient, I like to look at their nails. Your nails, although people think nails are insignificant, well, you chew on them. They don't have nerve endings. You trim them down. Nails aren't that important. Oh, they're very important. I can't tell you how I'm so frustrated by people blowing off the toenail or the fingernails. They could show signs of circulation issues. So, like, for example, if your fingers look like Spiegel from Lord of the Rings, where your fingertips look kind of round frog-like, that could be a sign of low oxygen or COPD and also heart disease. If your fingers are, if your fingernail has a black spot or a dark spot underneath or a dark line, that could be a sign of melanoma. Certain dark lines in multiple fingernails could be splinter hemorrhages. That could be a sign of circulatory issues. So what most people think is they just have to look for yellow or not. Yellow can indicate fungal infections. If you get a thickening of the nail that's yellow or green or white, but it could also be a sign of nutritional deficiency. It could also be a sign of liver disease. Dark lesions under the nail, you've got to get that looked at, possibly biopsy, because that could be a sign of melanoma. If your fingers or toes swell, that could be a sign of infection. It could be a sign of poor blood flow. It could be a sign of autoimmune disease or gout. Sometimes you might notice that your nails are blue. Your fingers are blue or your nails are blue. That could be a sign of Raynaud's, or which is like an autoimmune issue that affects the tips of your extremities and your blood vessels. It could be a sign of vasculitis, other blood vessel abnormalities. When your nails look whitish, that could be a sign of a nutritional deficiency, like a zinc deficiency, iron deficiency. If your nails split, if your nails have horizontal lines that are not necessarily black, those could also be a sign of nutritional deficiencies. Daily Mail has a real nice breakdown of this. Redness, swelling. Now, the ingrown nail. Many people will try to fix their ingrown nail themselves because nobody likes to go to the doctor anymore. And nobody has a doctor anymore. If your nail is ingrown, if you look at your ingrown nail, the redness seems to go to the base of the nail and angle down in a triangle, sometimes towards your knuckle, to that latitude of the knuckle. That's where the nail is ingrown. You might be bothered by the tippity tip, but if your nail is swollen, then that is a sign that the ingrownness is usually deeper. Now, a big mistake people make is they call up telemedicine saying, I need an antibiotic, and then I should be good. If your nail is ingrown, mechanically, it's festering. And I've had patients call on third rounds of antibiotics saying my nail isn't fixed. Of course not, because somebody has to mechanically fix it. One of my favorite procedures was removing that partial nail. It's called a partial nail removal and matrixectomy, where we numb the toe. We could then peel that nail, the ingrown nail at its base, away, trim it down, very little bleeding, if any. We then put a little solution to stop the matrix, the nail matrix, from growing. And then the skin folds over and your toe looks as good as new, and you don't have that ingrown nail anymore. So, just throwing antibiotics at it, if you're infected, yeah, you need an antibiotic, but if you have a mechanical issue, it needs to get fixed. Sometimes people ask, Dr. Daliah, should women stop painting their nails? Or people stop painting their nails now that everybody seems to paint their nails. I think it's very important to be looking at the nails when you do go in for manicures or gels or acrylics. Understand that frequent nail applications could hurt the integrity of the nail. And for those of us who have thin, weak nails that split and crack, it's pretty debilitating. They're pretty painful. In fact, for torture, many countries will use a torture technique of ripping out your nails because it's so painful and simple for them. You need to be able to examine your nails. If you do paint your nails, make sure you're watching, make sure you're looking. Maybe in between, have a doctor just take a look during your physical to make sure everything looks okay. But one of the biggest tragedies is somebody having melanoma and never knowing because they keep getting their nails done. And most pedicurists are not doctors, so they might not recognize it. 1-877-DOC-DALIAH.
Hey guys, it's Clyde. We've had a lot of requests for Ground Zero merchandise, so we put together an online store with a big variety of high-quality items. I'm really excited to let you know about these things. We have a lot to offer you and your loved ones. In addition to our regular apparel, such as t-shirts, beanies, hoodies, and hats, we've expanded our product line with posters, flags, aprons, mugs, and a whole lot more. We also have Ground Zero collectibles, along with a limited edition of items like a Clyde Lewis canvas portrait, a Ground Zero embroidered jacket that will certainly make for great gifts and for interesting conversations with family and friends. And we now offer publications such as Ron Patton's book about mind control, MK Zine, and back copies of the official magazine of Ground Zero while it was in print. Paranoia, the Conspiracy Reader, also coming in 2023, are updated and revised books that I've written. There's a secure and easy-to-use shopping cart for your purchases. So shop today at our official store by going to groundzeromerch.com. Again, that's groundzeromerch.com.
Hey, America. How tired are you of mainstream corporate media's biased narratives and manipulated news? Their dishonesty and attempts to influence this generation have been exposed, put on display for anyone who's even half paying attention. But the New American Magazine has been an honest source of news and commentary for over 50 years. This is your opportunity to receive the stalwart of principled journalism at a deep discount. Picture a beautifully published magazine arriving at your doorstep twice a month, packed with insightful stories written with integrity. It's also available digitally on the New American's mobile app. Get up to speed with intelligent coverage from a freedom perspective. Right now, for a limited time, the New American is available to radio listeners at a 25% discount on a new subscription. Visit thenewamerican.com/radio25 and receive 25% off. Subscribe today at thenewamerican.com/radio25.
All right. We are back on the Dr. Daliah Show. Thank you all for tuning in. 1-877-Dr. Dali, 1-877-DOCDALI. So we are going to be celebrating the Army's 250th birthday, or anniversary, this weekend. Huge parade. I know there's been a lot of debate on whether something like that should happen in terms of cost, but in terms of our military and such a milestone for the 250th year, I say absolutely. Not to mention, it should be already part of the budget in terms of recruitment, in terms of money spent for outreach and for mental health. You're a part of a military, and to be honored and to celebrate a birthday should already be a part of that budget every 250 years, as far as I'm concerned. Every 100 years. Every 50 years, every 25 years. It's a huge milestone. But apparently, there are Americans that are planning something else on the Army's big day. And this No Kings organization allegedly is coordinating hundreds of protests across the country that same day and time. I don't know why. Don't you want to appreciate our milestones? Don't you want to appreciate the men and women who are sacrificing themselves for our strength, our security, our safety? And one such person included in this is, I believe, the Walmart heiress billionaire Christy Walton. She, from what we understand, took out a full-page ad in the New York Times declaring no kings, which is, I guess, even though it doesn't necessarily mention Trump directly, it echoes a lot of the things that the people in the protests and the riots are I guess, protest or advocating. She says, "We are a people of principle and honor. We honor our commitments, stand by our allies. We defend against aggression by dictators. We uphold and defend the Constitution." Okay, well, that's what Trump and the GOP is doing. That's what she said. The ad continues, "We care for our children and veterans. We respect our neighbors and trading partners. We support a healthy national, international economy, community environment. We are the world leader, trusted to uphold the stability of the rule of the law." Okay, well, so if this is about criminals being deported, I'm confused at her messaging. Is she for criminals being deported or against? People are saying, no, she's against. Well, then what is she talking about here? You want to care for your children. What about the children who've been raped and killed by criminal, illegal immigrants in this country? What about the trafficking that's happening? So I'm confused. So she concludes, "We are the people of the United States of America. The honor, dignity, and integrity of our country are not for sale. Our government is of the people, by the people, for the people." Well, didn't the people vote in Donald Trump? So is this an ad for Trump? I don't think so. But when you read it, it sounds like it should be. So a spokesperson for Christy Walton immediately jumped in because it looks like there's going to be backlash going against Walmart as a result of this. And Walmart's been distancing themselves. They said that the personal ad message from Christy Walton published focuses on encouraging people to engage peacefully and civically in the next weekend's events. It doesn't say civilly, it says civically. On June 14th. It is unrelated to the events we have seen unfold the past several days. Christie has provided no funding to organizations or individuals involved in the demonstrations in LA or other cities, nor has she provided any funding to those organizing the upcoming events. They have to say that because if she is advocating that people meet and what has happened is innocent business owners have been attacked and their businesses destroyed and looted. We've had our police force attacked, people throwing boulders at them. What is she advocating for then? So they say the statement continues saying her interest is simply in encouraging people to listen to one another, participate in their communities, productively engage on the issues they are about. She believes while we have the right to protest, we do not have the right to violence. She condemns violence in all forms. Well, then say that. And her message promotes civic engagement, peaceful dialogue, and a sharing of diverse views and voices. Okay, well, that's nice, but that's not what the ad said or implied. So the investigations are going into who is funding these riots. It's one thing to have, nice peaceful protest, but when you see people passing out equipment used during riots, okay, what the hell is going on? So, according to Fox News, an investigation is underway to see who is funding the anti-immigration and customs ICE riots that have been disrupting L.A., other major U.S. cities. Crowds on Demand, a California-based company that specializes in providing on-demand crowds for protests, told Fox News Digital it received numerous high-budget requests to get involved with the anti-ICE riots in Los Angeles and other cities, but declined to participate. Interesting. Crowds on Demand. So if I want to, let's say, sing for you all, and I want to make it look like there's a bunch of people that are fans, I could buy a crowd. That's interesting. Pay for a crowd. I wouldn't do it because nobody would believe it. They'd be like, really? In fact, even the crowd for hire would say, I quit. But interesting that they declined. They did not want to be involved with the anti-ICE riots. Good for them. They said they did not want to get close to any form of illegal activity, including violence, vandalism, or blocking off roads without a permit. They say we receive inquiries regarding practically every major social cause imaginable, and the anti-ICE demonstrations are no exception. They say the fact that we receive requests does not mean we take them, in many cases because the budget does not match the ambition. So they take on impactful, common sense causes both for liberals and conservatives, but always represent the common sense position. Well, they need to, because otherwise there could be a lot of backlash against them. But this shows you that this is, there are groups that will organize people in a heartbeat, or will have people for hire to stand around to make it look like there's numbers. It's a business. Well, who's funding this? Who is paying for this? And that's what people want to find out. Chairman of the Judiciary Committee on Crime and Terrorism, I believe was Representative Kevin Hiley, is looking at, who are funding these. Because whoever's funding these then has blood on their hands. If they are hurting cops, there was a dead body found near one of the rioted businesses the other night. Then there's blood on their hands if that ends up being a part of this riot. And what I don't understand is ICE is doing the same job that they do in Canada, they do in other countries. We talked about some of the laws. In Canada, if you misrepresent yourself on your paperwork or you don't follow any of the immigration laws or the proper procedures, you get deported. Well, just like America. Are they going to riot in Canada? Well, but look at the amounts Trump's doing. Well, it's because of what Biden did. Now he has to go in and get those criminals or individuals who could have potential criminal past, or those individuals who violated laws in terms of immigration out. So now the work is on them. So it is going to look like more just because of the flooding of the border and wolves in sheep's clothing coming across. So it'll be really interesting to see. Again, I don't think Walmart wants any backlash from their Walmart heiress, but I'm sure it might turn into, people saying, forget it. We're not going to make her any more rich if she's funding this. So we'll see what happens, and we'll keep you posted. 1-877 Doc Daliah. Hi guys, Dr. Daliah here. Addictions can sneak up on us and come in many forms. Whether it's drugs, alcohol, sex, video games, porn, or something less obvious such as food, internet, or shopping, addiction can seem innocent at first and then evolve into an insurmountable evil. In our book, Addiction Basics, Caitlin Kalikas and I dive into the common addictions and provide tips for identifying and preventing these before they sneak in and take over our lives. Addiction Basics can be found on Amazon or my website, drdaliah.com. Check it out.
Carl Amari here to tell you about our newest website for old-time radio lovers. It's 100radioshows.com. At this site, there are 5 old-time radio shows waiting for you to download free as our gift to you, and be sure to browse the additional 700 old-time radio shows available to you for 70% off by using the promo code RADIO at checkout. This is a limited-time offer, so log on to 100radioshows.com. That's 100radioshows.com.